Okay, my bass people, how you doing? Kevin here. Of course, I've got something for you today that is uh, just an incredibly helpful thing. Best bass warm up ever. So I hope that whenever you pick up your axe during the day for the first time, that you're not just hammering away, and just subjecting your cold hands to stress that you don't need to have, right? You want to take your time. You want to build up a little heat. You want to warm up your hands. You don't want to mistreat them. So I have an incredible warm up, and I call it the best bass warm up ever because you're going to have multiple benefits that you're stacking up. And anytime you can do that, you're really practicing smart. So we're going to use all major triads, triadic structures, and you're going to be playing all over your instrument. You're going to be learning and saying the note names. You're going to be executing these position switches. And you're going to be playing your whole bass up top to bottom. Nothing better to start the day with, and to have this major. And of course, you can easily convert this to minor as well. So let's get busy, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. So let's start in an unfamiliar key for most people, A flat. I want all those flat keys to be your best friends. So we'll start on A flat, and I'll do 3 or 4 of them for you just to show you how I'm slotting it out. And you're going to always download the sheet. Check the description, of course. So here's A flat. So notice what I'm doing there. I am forming a stretch position, and then I'm barring from the 5th to the root, back up to the 3rd. So, and then what I'm doing is I am switching up to the 5th. We're going north of the double dot here. We're going to the 13th fret. Check it out. So we're going to the 5th, up to the root, and the 3rd, the high C, right? So now you're probably not used to doing these stretch positions, but I just want you to take your time. And when you don't have to stretch like Segovia, you play the first note and just pick up and go get the C. Here's your A flat. Just pick up and get it. It's fine if you can shorten the note a little bit in due time, and it won't be long. You'll probably be able to do the stretch anyway. I mean, I wouldn't want to go much farther than A flat, into the lower register and execute a 5-fret stretch, But still, it really doesn't matter if you shorten the note or not. You're still going to have a big, fat bass note if that's what you concentrate on. Big, fat bass, big bass notes. And I just call it tone formation. That's the most important thing. And I don't want you to use a metronome until you learn the notes. In fact, you ought to be able to play this entire 12 major triadic structure exercise all the way over the double dot and back, and learn everything very confidently before you get yourself in that position to respond to the metronomic demands. Okay? And I'm really big on this tone formation because it's just like Chet Baker said, if you have good tone, everything you play is going to sound good. Actually, I think he said, if you have great tone, everything you play is going to sound great. And but that is the thing. Big, fat, round bass notes, as much note as you can put under your hand. E, right? So we started A flat, I went to D flat, I went to G flat, went to B, right? So that's 4 keys in a row. Really doesn't take long, but what I would want you to do is to do, I would do it 3 or 4 times for each one. And then maybe once you start getting good at it, you can do a couple different paths up to the top of the mountain, right? And we're going up to the top and coming back down. So there is an incredibly helpful thing, and man, is it going to be a revelation for you if you're not used to doing this. And look how much of the bass you're playing. I mean, talking about a wide swath of bass guitar. But there's a couple of little secrets, little observations, things that I want you to do that are going to make the whole thing a lot easier. So I contend that we as bass guitar players, we're not as good, we're not as used to moving around the instrument in the same way that these great acoustic players are. You notice they have these little, they call them half positions, and then they leap up off onto the thumb and go into thumb position. And they're always up and back, you know, they're just playing all over the place. So us less so, and I want you to make a change here and to accustom yourself to making these position switches, because you just got to ask yourself, I mean, you're playing A flat, C, you're going to play the 5th, right, the E flat. What is stopping you from going A flat, E flat, A flat, E flat? I mean, you can just leap anywhere, right? But why don't we? Well, it's just that, you know, we're fixated playing in a position. Here's what you do is you just zoom out and you widen your field of vision. And I always think of these drones that are taking off from everywhere and going up, 5,000 feet and showing you these pictures, right? Well, you can do the same thing. Just kind of, I mean, physically, I think you'll actually lean back a little bit, but just open your eyes more and get used to playing more of the bass. Get used to thinking about playing more of the bass. You'd be amazed how just that one little thing will help you. No. So you're going to turn this into a scientific equation here. You're going from the first finger down here, right? You're going to play the C with your pinky. You're going to play that A flat, and you're going to go the 11th fret, and you're going to look right at that note. This is when you're setting it up. And you're going to go right there, but you're not going to let your grip collapse. That's what I call it. Don't let your grip collapse when you're doing the switches. So that right there forms the kind of nucleus of your plan, aside from looking at the exact fret. Because when you get there, you got to be ready to deal. So using A flat again as an example, there's something else too. You're going to be going from the A flat to the 5th to the root, the E flat to the A flat. You got to have that bar kind of pre-formed. So widen your field of vision, do a zoom out. 2, not let that grip collapse. Then, you know, in a lot, you'll see there's just a several species of stretch grips to execute these major triads. And once you get used to them, it's going to be like falling off a log. You're going to be moving all over the bass. It's incredible. So open E, play the F, right? We're going to D flat major. And even if it's not in time, the way I like to do it is to go as low as you can for any triadic structure. It's nice to have the lowest stuff for any groove, any solo or anything, because whenever you want that, you feel artistically, you want to make that decision. I want low stuff, right? You're not going to sit there with a slide rule and a calculator. It's kind of an artistic thing of the moment. You'll always have the lowest stuff ready. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Best bass warm-up ever. Playing all major triads, triadic structures I call them, with stretch positions, going way north of the double dot, I did 4 keys in a row for you. Check for the sheet. If you can do this every day, probably won't take you more than about 15 minutes or so, depending on how much doubling up you do, and I do recommend you do that. But remember, the main point after tone formation is learning the note names. Make sure you say them up and back a couple of times. And make sure you do that before you turn your metronome on. And then you're going to have great tone. You're going to know the note names everywhere in your acts. You're going to be seasoning your grip for these position switches. What a great thing. You couldn't ask for more benefits from one particular exercise. So I hope you like that. I'll see you in the next lesson.